What about the thumb method?
So the thumb method, and this one I find extremely tricky, but I really want everybody to feel comfortable with it. It's for this one, you can actually, the baby tends to jump a little bit more. So you have to make sure that you're keeping your hands. So your hands, you're wrapping your hand around the baby. It has to be an infant small enough that your thumbs can overlap or be at least close, very close to each other in the front, near on that breastbone. And you're going
So
one.
if your thumbs aren't overlapping, this is not the method
No,
to use.
the best method would be the
two-finger
two-finger method.
Okay, and then you go through the same process
The same
again,
process.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 until you get to 15, and then give
Two breaths. And after 5 cycles, always reassess for that pulse. Because if the baby's pulse has improved or has now a pulse, then you may not need to do, you can actually stop chest compressions and just deliver breaths.
Okay, so if baby is not active but has a pulse, then you need to stop CPR.
Yes. Usually, the best thing is if you're not sure, if you're not certain, then the thing to do is just continue CPR until help arrives. If you're in doubt, just do breaths and compressions until help arrives. I think it's very difficult sometimes when you're not trained to see, do I really feel that pulse or not? So the best thing that we say in medicine, when in doubt, just do it.
Okay, good. And what about when we get to the ages of toddlers?
So that was a good question about what we do in older infants or adults. So what you want to make sure is that your area is safe. Again, safety first, call for help. The second thing you want to do is you want to do chest compressions. It's more chest compressions in an older kid and an adult as opposed to the 15 because they found that cardiac function is more important. So you want to do 30 chest compressions and 2 breaths in an older child and an adult. Okay? So the first thing you will do is, of course, you can check the pulse in a child. We saw that you check the pulse in the bend of the arm. And in an adult, you can check the pulse by the carotid. You see a lot of this. And this pulse is actually much better to feel because if you do it on yourself right now, you'll actually feel it. All right? So you assess the patient's not breathing, the patient has no pulse, you begin your CPR. So you first put your hands together like this, palm over palm, whichever one, it doesn't matter, right over left, left over right, it really doesn't matter. And then you're going to put all of your power into your hands, so you're not bending your elbows, okay? And we start, you're going at the same place on the chest at the end, and you're going to start 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you'll do this up to 30 counts, okay? And then after giving 30 counts, you then chin lift, open up that airway, and you're going to give 2 good breaths, watching that chest rise. Okay?
So my question is, how much pressure do you put when you're doing that thrush?
All right. So I think it is really just being cognizant of your own strength. All right? Because in the heat of the moment, to tell you to measure the amount of inches and centimeters will be difficult. So just be aware that you want to be able to start that heart pumping, but you don't want to fracture the ribs, which is a common complication of CPR.
Thank you so much, Dr. George, for giving us the information. Now we know what to do when our babies are choking, and we know how to do CPR properly, both on a baby and on an infant.
Right now I'm going to speak to you about crib safety. First thing, when you have a young infant and you're placing them in the crib, I know in the Caribbean we tend to put our infants on our back and on their front.
On the belly.
Right, without much thought as to which one is preferred. Well, we're going to advocate that you place your infant always to sleep on their back.
Yes.
Right. The reason why infants are placed on their back to sleep is because when you place them in their front, there is a higher incidence of sudden infant death syndrome. What is sudden infant death syndrome? Sudden infant death syndrome is a syndrome where after placing your infant on their front, you come back and your infant is not alive, the infant is dead. And after they do all their investigations, they cannot really give you a realistic reason why the infant has passed away. And nobody can really say for sure what has caused the death of the infant, but it has been shown to be associated with infants sleeping on their stomach. So I advocate all you parents out there, so when you're putting your infant to sleep, please put your infant on their backs. Yeah, the next thing that I want to speak about is infant safety throughout the home.
Yes.
If you live in a multi-layer type of housing, you need to put things in place where the infant is very, very much protected.
Yes.
So for example, at the bottom and the top of staircases, you need to build or insert
Gates.
a gate or a fence to prevent the infant from
Having access.
from having access and probably having an accident. You also need to put away all corrosive fluids, all those things that are harmful for children if swallowed. You also need to make sure that they have those child-proof caps.
Yes.
But don't rely on the child-proof caps. Don't rely on it. Put things out of reach of the infant. Make sure that they don't get to it at all. Never ever take pills in front of children.
Yes.
Because once they see you taking medication, then if they ever find
Your bottle.
a bottle of pills, then they're more likely to go and try to mimic you. The other thing that's important is for people who have stoves that are electric stove or even gas stoves, you need to buy those protectors that cover the knobs to prevent the infant from turning it on. So these are just a couple things that you can do to prevent your infant from encountering danger. We're going to take a break now, but when we come back, we will have more child safety tips. Stay tuned.